In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Nikki.
And I'm John.
And today we're going to be talking about Wayne's World, party time, excellent.
Extreme close-up.
Today we're going to be talking about Wayne's World 1 and Wayne's World 2.
These movies were a staple growing up for us. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode as much as we enjoy making it.
First, we're going to talk about Wayne's World, 1992, directed by Penelope Spheeris, written by Mike Myers, Bonnie Turner, and Terry Turner. This film stars Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Tia Carrere, and Rob Lowe.
Yes.
Special guests include Ed O'Neill, Chris Farley, Alice Cooper, Laura Flynn Boyle, and Meat Loaf.
Yeah. Big cameos by these people. If you didn't notice them in the film, I mean, Alice Cooper, you would have because he's playing himself.
Right.
But some of the other cameos, you might miss. I missed Meat Loaf the first time around. So there you go.
Yeah, you never know. But this is something, like John said, I've loved this movie for years. It's always been a comfort for me, and I think that we just have to talk about this. So this has been going on for
watching the skits and then
Right.
seeing it in movie format. And I love how he breaks the fourth wall and talks to the audience and acknowledges that. I think is a really fun idea. Something way before Deadpool did it. Sorry. Not sorry.
This film is about two friends who do a show in their basement called Wayne's World. And this just pretty much follows them around on everyday life.
I think it's like a deal to do a big production of the show by a studio. And they even make Wayne's basement in a studio. And they're like, man, we're in Wayne's basement, but we're not in Wayne's basement. And these are just your normal everyday guys doing this show in the basement all the time, to be put in this position and offered all this money up front. They didn't even read the contract. I mean, when he reads it, he goes, He doesn't know what he's reading. He's accepting all these things and he has no clue what he's looking at.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the fun of the movie. And that's the whole premise. They basically try to steal his show, steal his girlfriend, and he loses his friend all in the process, but they all come together at the end and have a happy ending.
Let's do the mega happy ending. I personally, I do.
Scooby-Doo ending. The Scooby-Doo ending is really fun.
Good one, Shaggy. But
yes, people, I've shaped.
Yes, he did it specifically for this episode, so feel blessed, people.
Just for
yes, we go that extra mile.
And we even went an extra mile. Instead of just giving you straight up facts, we did the Wayne's World top 10 list.
Fun facts. Let's bring it on.
All right, number 10. Oh, no budget for Stairway. Denied.
Yeah, the part where they're in the Guitar Center and Wayne is looking at the Excalibur. Yeah. And he starts to play it, and he starts to play Stairway to Heaven. The guy's like, and he points to the sign. That was because the budget of the film, they couldn't afford to have that song in there.
Number 9. Gasworks was a real bar.
This is true. The Gasworks, where they see Cassandra playing and where Meat Loaf is the bouncer and the doorman, that was an actual place, and it was called the Gasworks, but it did close down in 1993.
Fortunately, we probably lost a great venue, like we've lost many over the years.
That is true. That is true.
Number 8. Mike was hard to work with.
During the filming of Wayne's World 1, Mike Myers' father was dying. He was very difficult to work with. He threatened to walk off set a lot, and he was really going through a hard time. And his father did die shortly after wrapping up this film. So even the director, Penelope Spheris, she's like, I don't even want to work with him in the second one. Don't even ask. So she wasn't even part of the second one.
It was shot in 34 days.
That's pretty impressive, considering that this movie, and even when I watch this film, I don't see, Mike Myers really, I mean, he must have had like, blow-ups and whatever, but on screen, magic. I mean, you wouldn't even know he was going through something.
He was going through a rough time that everyone around him was probably hating it. He did a fantastic job on screen, and it you would think that this movie was a lot of fun to make,
right?
But not if you asked the cast and crew.
Right.
He wasn't, unfortunately.
He was a nightmare.
Number 6. First big SNL spinoff.
John and I did talk about the other SNL skits that went on to become films, and there are some, like you said, MacGruber and Night at the Roxbury, but I still think that this one, Wayne's World, is something that a lot of people recognize and they're familiar with and they're comfortable with, and I feel like a lot more people like Wayne's World over the other one. I could be wrong. Let us know in the comments what your favorite SNL skit
people out of any of them. So it had to have resonated with more people, especially back in the 90s with the music they had in it and just the way the characters were. I think a lot of people recognize that better than the other movies that they put out.
For a lot of people.
But Alice Cooper is a history buff.
Very, very true. The part where Wayne and Garth go backstage to meet Alice Cooper, and he starts talking about Milwaukee and the Native American land, is all true. He loves his history, and I thought that was pretty cool, considering the fact that, it's like, oh, is that true? And I always wondered as a kid if that was true or not. Now it's confirmed. Yes.
Rock on. Ad-libbed Cantonese.
The part where Wayne and Cassandra are on the roof and they're speaking in Cantonese, that is all BS. He was completely speaking gibberish, not even in a language. She didn't know what he was saying. And for her character, she was supposed to be from Hong Kong, but Tia Carrere is a American-born actress. I believe she was born in Hawaii, and she also has a little bit of Filipino in her. So she had no idea what he was talking about or what he was saying, but it still works.
Laughing and pulling it off. I'm sure they had to do that scene a few times, but she ended up pulling it off very nicely. Number 3. Tia Carrere was actually singing.
What a voice on her. I didn't know that until I looked that up, and I think that is amazing. I mean, how she didn't get a music career after that. Her voice is really pretty, but gotta give her props for it.
She banged it out, I swear. Like, I know, like, she was probably in the studio doing the singing and then just like mimicking it when she was filming it, but guys, singing is like doing that in a studio, even if you have the gimmicks to fix it. Damn, she's got a great voice.
She does. She does.
She should have spawned a music career after that, but she didn't. But I mean,
some of her songs were on the soundtrack because I used to own the cassette tape when I was younger. So yes, so at least she made it to the soundtrack. Maybe she didn't want to pursue career music. Who knows?
Here we go. And Dana Carvey was actually playing drums.
Heck yeah! Dana Carvey in the guitar shop.
The music shop, yeah.
Yeah. And he sits down, he starts playing, he's actually playing drums. And I remember there was a time when the MTV Music Awards, I think it was that, it was real big, and he actually played the drums with U2. I remember that like so vividly.
Wow, you're amazing, dude.
Thanks. I like to play.
Oh, that would have been so cool. I don't like
he totally.
But I mean, it would have been cool. So now we're down to our number 1. Excellent. And it was Mike Myers was gonna quit.
Yes, he walked off and had so many fights with everybody. That whole Bohemian Rhapsody scene that's very iconic, and a lot of people know that it's that they're jamming out to in the car. The production company, they didn't want the Bohemian Rhapsody song. They wanted Welcome to the Jungle, which is okay, but I really like Bohemian Rhapsody better.
I think Bohemian Rhapsody is better in that moment because it has that quiet time after and stuff, and it gives you that big moment of them headbanging. You don't really have that in Welcome to the Jungle. Welcome to the Jungle is like headbanging from the beginning, not leading into it. And
yes.
So
I thought it was really cool because there's another piece of the Bohemian Rhapsody story that goes with this that it just touched my heart and I absolutely love it. But Mike Myers threatened to walk off and just be completely done with the project if Bohemian Rhapsody was not in the film in that scene, because he wanted to make that tape and then send it to Freddie Mercury, which Freddie Mercury did get to see it and then died shortly after. So I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you got to see it before he passed away, because I think that would be a very touching moment, to know that a song that you wrote 20 years ago is relevant and being used in a movie now, and that then becomes so iconic that everyone remembers that scene.
Right.
Like whenever you say Wayne's World, they're like, "Oh yeah, in the car, Bellevue," and they all start headbanging. Like everyone knows that scene, even if you haven't seen that movie. I think you know that scene. That makes it.
The funny thing about that is that when I went to go see Bohemian Rhapsody, I saw it twice in the theaters. I thought it was so good. And Mike Myers is in that film saying that nobody's ever gonna like Bohemian Rhapsody, the song. No, everybody trashed it, but Freddie still went on like, no, we're doing it. And the part where Mike Myers is like, no one's ever gonna like appreciate that song. And you gotta see it. It's pretty funny.
I didn't know that because I have not seen that movie yet, so I did not know he made a appearance.
Good.
And commenting on this, that's probably why they put him in that scene.
Yes. Yep.
It
was a pretty good one. So you have to check that out. That movie is very, very good. I thought it was great.
Well, he shoots! He scores!
I'm gonna give Wayne's World 1. I'm gonna give it a solid 4.2. It's a great movie. It's still fun and relevant to watch today. I just watched it 2 nights ago, and I still laughed and chuckled and smirked at all the spots. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. There's just so many great moments in it that I remembered as a kid. It's a fantastic movie. So yeah, 4.2 for me.
Yeah, I love this film. It's definitely something that I put on for comfort. And I will give it a solid 4 because I think it is just such a great film and you could still laugh at it today. And I like movies that can maintain the funniness. The whole thing where he's doing the cue cards and he's like, this guy blows goats, I have proof. Like, what the fuck? Like, that is the funniest thing. Garth is like,
oh, yeah. Such a great movie. So now, Wayne's World 2.
Wayne's World 2, 1993, directed by Steven Surgic, written by Mike Myers, Bonnie Turner, and Terry Turner. Yet again, this film stars Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, and Tia Carrere. Special guests include Chris Farley, Kim Basinger, Christopher Walken, Drew Barrymore, James Hong, Ed O'Neill, Kevin Pollak, Tim Meadows, Heather Locklear, Ted McGinley, Bob Odenkirk, Aerosmith, Rip Taylor, and Charlton Heston. That's a lot of guests.
Massive amount of cameos in this one.
Yes.
I think
a lot more.
They knew they could gather in bigger names to do this second one, and I think they knocked it out of the park with the cameos. Some being very subtle, some being very right in your face.
I like Wayne's World 2 just a little bit more than Wayne's World 1 because of Del Preston. His character is one of the, I don't know, he's just a nut bar.
He tells the same story over and over again, but it's I had to beat them to death with their own shoes. And he continues to tell the story. And Wayne and Gareth, after the first time, they're like, holy shit. And then the next time, they're like, telling the story again.
I know. I love the part where they first meet Del and they're going through the photo album and they're like, oh, is that you with Led Zeppelin? Oh, that's you. And who's that old lady? And Del's like, that's my old lady. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
Like Naked Indian, even though he wasn't quite naked. I mean, at least he had a cloth over his front part, but you see his butt a lot in it. The Naked Indian, it's just comical having the Naked Indian walk Wayne through the desert to find Jim Morrison randomly in the desert for Jim Morrison just look at him and say, book them and they will come. It was
the second movie is all about Wayne putting on a really awesome show called Wayne Stock. And they're trying to get all these big names. You don't think it's going to work out, but then it does in the end. And he ends up losing Cassandra again for a little bit to Christopher Walken.
Of course. And it goes to do it's a bad ending. Let's do the happy ending. But then they do like another ending in between again. Like they did the Scooby-Doo ending in the first one. And the second one,
he goes and bangs on the walls of the church. He's like, Cassandra! And then she's like, oh, Wayne does love me. So then they take off and they go to the show together. So, yeah.
And then, when they get there, the first time the bands don't show up. And then they do the happy ending where the bands do show up. The bands show up in the same stage drive, but limo version, which I thought was a fantastic little add-on.
And really Aerosmith comes out and kicks ass on stage.
Just like the first one.
Yeah.
So, we'll go down.
That's
Number 10. Better Call Saul.
Yes, Bob Odenkirk. He is one of the nerds that talks to Wayne and Garth after they get denied by going into the special VIP after the Aerosmith concert. And Wayne's like, well, my girlfriend's in there. And the guy's like, a lot of people's girlfriends are in there. Yes.
Which I did not notice. So thank you, Nikki, for pointing that one out.
I do.
Number 9. Dana Carvey, Baby Garth.
Yeah. He had his second baby during the filming of this film. Don't use it. But I really enjoy Dana Carvey. I've seen a lot of his stand-up. I think he just has 2 sons, Tom and Dex, and they are both following his father's footsteps and going into the stand-up comedy realm. So good luck to them.
Excellent. Number 8. SNL skit.
There was a moment where Cassandra is in the music studio and she's talking with Bobby and she goes, oh, damn, I'm late. I'm going to miss Wayne's show. And she turns on the TV and that episode you see right there is actually an episode from Saturday Night Live. So I thought that was really cool because it's vintage.
They used a real skit from SNL in the movie,
right?
Which is based off of the skit. Genius.
Yeah.
Number 7. Rob Lowe, denied.
He's a sphincter boy. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Rob Lowe was supposed to come back in the second one. Don't do that to me, idiot. You do that to him.
Rob Lowe was supposed to be in the second movie. He sat down for the table read, and his manager said, absolutely not. This movie's terrible. And then Christopher Walken filled Rob Lowe's spot.
Filled that void, which I think actually was a better choice anyway, because it gave a whole new character. Because otherwise, Wayne already would have known Rob Lowe's
motive,
his motives of what he was doing. Right?
No, I totally agree. I totally agree.
I think it's a good idea to go to a different character.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Number 6. Morrison dream.
The dream that Wayne constantly has with the weird naked Indian, and then he goes and talks to Jim Morrison, was based on some truth, because after Mike Myers' father had passed, I guess he was kind of struggling on what he should do next. So I guess he had dreams of Jim Morrison telling him to do whatever. I haven't sat down and talked with Mike Myers. I don't know the whole story, but there is some truth behind the dreams, and it was influenced a little bit. So
That's cool. Number 5. Van Halen hates brown M&Ms.
So the story that Del Preston keeps talking about.
Release salon at 3 o'clock in the morning, looking for 1,000 brown M&Ms to fill a brandy glass, or Ozzy wouldn't go on stage that night.
This holds a little bit of truth. It wasn't Ozzy Osbourne, apparently, and this is something that is still an urban legend. There's not 100% fact behind it, but Van Halen had given, I guess, the roadies like a list of things that they want in their dressing room, and one of them was to have M&Ms, but all the brown ones taken out. Now, they had come in and found that there was brown M&Ms, flipped out, and caused $80,000 worth of damage to. I don't know if that's true, but if you're gonna do that over M&Ms, I don't want to see you in a real fight.
When did you turn into a nut bar?
So number 4, box office flop.
Yes, the second film didn't do that great because it was up against 3 very big films, being Mrs. Doubtfire, huge for Robin Williams, The Pelican Brief, which I have not seen, but I know it was a big one, and then Schindler's List being huge. I think that blew a lot of them.
Massive movie. So, I mean, going up against those 3 juggernauts, I mean,
That is tough, yeah.
that's
But
tough.
I don't know. I still like the second one too, so I don't know.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Number 3, red licorice equals brown acid.
To get back to the warning that I've received, you may take it with however many grains of salt you wish, that the brown acid that is circulating around us is not specifically too good.
Anybody that would watch the documentary on Woodstock, there was a section where there was an announcement to stay away from the brown acid. There is a scene in the second Wayne's World film where Garth is like, "Do not eat the red rope licorice." That was a nod to
The brown acid, yeah.
Right, to being the same thing. And even they call it Wayne Stock instead of Woodstock. So there's a lot of innuendos to it. So
No, I think that's fantastic. I didn't know that, and I was always wondering why the red licorice scene was in there, but now it all makes sense. I like that.
welcome.
Number 2, director denied coming back.
Yes, Penelope Spheeris, I think that's how you say her name. She was done. After the first film, she's like, "I refuse to work with Mike Myers. I will never do it again." So she's like, "Nope, not doing it. Not even going to attempt it." So he blew his shot with her.
And you could tell the movie's a little different in the second one than the first one, but I just felt like that was maybe they had a higher budget, and so it just looked a bit crisper and cleaner. And maybe that's because of the director as well. So now it's number 1.
Oh.
Whoa! Nirvana was offered, denied.
Yeah, Nirvana. But they were like, "Nah, we're not going to do it." I mean, I thought that would have been really cool to see him in there.
They allowed Weird Al to do "Smells Like Nirvana," like the parody of "Smells Like Teen Spirit," which that's when Kurt realized that they were a big deal. Is when Weird Al called him and asked him if he could parody their song, and he said yes instantly. So you would think that he would want to do something like this, but maybe he thought this was too mainstream, being in a movie and not being just made fun of. And I know, I mean, if you know anything about Kurt, he didn't really care for the mainstream, even though he was rich and famous. How can you be rich and famous and not like the mainstream? Well, it's easy. Shit happens overnight, and you don't even realize it. So I'm thinking that's why they said no to doing it, because it was just too big of an opportunity for them, or something too big. Like Dave probably would have said yes. I mean, look at Dave nowadays. He would say yes to anything. Dave's all over the place. He's awesome.
He's such a cool guy. Yeah, I mean, he gets along with everybody. His presence alone and how he explains things. He's such a cool guy. Like, how could you not like Dave Grohl?
I think that was the only reason they really denied it, which I can understand why. Although it would have been awesome to see them in the movie. I'm going to give the second one, I didn't quite like it as much as the first one, so I'm just gonna give it a 4. Not a 4.2 like the last one. I'll give it a 4 because I did like the first one a little bit better. But there's some great moments in the second one. So
I have to agree. Like I do love the first one. The first one is so iconic and it's very legendary. But I don't know. I love Del Preston, man. Like he just cracks me up. I will give it a notch down. I'll give it like a 3.9. Not that big of a difference because I do like them. I especially love to watch them back to back. But I can't. I give it to Del, man. He is the man.
That's right. I think he was like really the selling point in that one.
Okay.
So what are you doing next week, Nikki?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But Nikki, there's no babes in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
All right, John.
We need to do the babe version. Should we do the babe version?
Yeah. We are going to actually touch on a little bit of the original because it is the original, but we're going for the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre because there is a robo babylicious babe just real.
Sweet!
Temple, she's a babe.
Jessica Biel, she's a babe.
She is amazing. She has not changed at all. I think the only thing that has changed about that woman is her hair color. She looks magnificent and she looks killer in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. And out of any type of, remake or sequel, that one I thought should have been the original.
Yeah, and you know what? It's better than that newer one that they just put out. I don't even want to talk about that.
I don't know why they keep redoing it.
Be left on the shelf because it was pure crap. What they started back in the early 2000s with those remakes, hands down, way better. I can't wait. We'll dive into that one next week. Please like, subscribe, hit the comments, and, come check us out again.
Hey, we got Jessica Biel in the next one. She is there. You should just go to see her just for that one. I would. She's a robo babe. Shing, shing, shing. Jessica Biel, we salute you. Show wing. Until next time, party on, John.
Party on, Nikki.
Woo! Thanks, guys.